Hello everybody, welcome back to the Yotso Tech Tracks YouTube channel. You're joining me again on a short little update about the suspension lift install. I have disassembled pretty much everything I want to take apart, and the rest is going to be a cleanup, a quick paint job for just the corrosion around the frame area, and then it's going to be an installation of the suspension lift components. Just to run you through what I've done so far, I've taken apart the coilover suspension, the coilover assembly, and I have taken apart the sway bar end links. Upper control arm is going to be removed and upgraded by a different one, and the rest is going to be just basically, like I said, clean up a little bit, just because it's nice weather, it's good time for painting. It's not much problems with this truck. The little bit of corrosion that you see here is, for example, from the welds. You always get corrosion around the welds no matter what vehicle you have. The frame is always nice, but usually it starts at the spot welds and the seam welds. I can clean that up, not a big deal. The damage report so far, both sides, it seems the sway bar end links, as soon as I wanted to take them apart, they snapped like a toothpick. They are very weak, it seems, in this area. You can tell the actual rod assembly is very thick and heavy duty. However, where the thread part goes right into this anti-roll bar, it's very thin, and the corrosion just ate it up. This truck is 5 years old, around 22,000 kilometers, I believe. It's not a lot, and this is what happens to parts in Canada. Anyway, I can fix this actually if I cut this off and put a threaded rod to weld it, but I'm going to price these out and let you guys know if it's cheap enough to buy or repair these, because the only expensive part in this is actually this joint. It's a ball joint, and the lower control arm, it sits inside there, and the top is just going to be a rubber bushing, this one, and the other one is exactly like it. It just clamps this this bar from the top to bottom and tightens it up, and that's the movement that you get, just a little bit of movement that this bushing allows. Anyway, that's not a big deal. The brake pads I'm going to be replacing, because this truck has been sitting around for roughly 2 weeks, when I was actually 2 months almost, when I was sick off work recently, and the brakes got a little bit of rust on them, and it basically chewed up the brake pads as soon as I drove it, and then removed most of the rust. These will clean up very nicely. These are pretty much okay to go. I do have wheel spacers on this truck, as you can see. I believe these are 2 inches or something very close to it. And again, this truck is going to get a 2-inch suspension lift. It's a 2-inch spacer lift, and I'm going to have a little bit more of a lift because I have Bilstein 5100 shock absorbers, and they are adjustable in 5 different increments. I believe they are 0.7 inches each step of the way. I can show you that. I've taken these out. I will zoom in here if you guys can see. Basically, the spring is right outside of this shock absorber, and it has these perches, 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's sitting on the top one, and it's 0.7 inch increments. So I believe it is stock plus 0.7 inches of suspension lift, and then 1.4 inches, and then 2.1 inches, and the top one is 0.7 inches, because 1, 2, 3, 4, you're going up 0.7 inch increments roughly. However, that is on an unladen vehicle, going from the stock ride height to the top. And once again, guys, because I do have a bit of a weight over this front of this vehicle with a winch, and this is a pretty heavy cradle for the winch mount, and basically this weighs, God knows how much it weighs. It does weigh a lot, so it does weigh the truck down. So when I did increase that spring perch height, even though I'm gaining height because there's additional weight on it, at the same time I installed it, I have no idea exactly how much suspension lift I got, but it is roughly between, I'd say, 1 and 2 inches tops. Again, I'm going to be installing this spacer right here on the top of the coilover assembly, and this is not a strut by any means. Most people refer this to a strut. A strut is part of the steering and suspension component. This is a coilover because it is a coil spring over shock absorber assembly. If you guys are Googling that or looking for parts for this truck, just type in coilover for the Rams, and a lot of searches pop up. But I'm going to be going with the stock ones. I have no complaints about the 5100s. Later on, I can always swap these out quite easily. It is just, I can show you guys all the way up here. It's 3 little nuts that go on top of it, and 1 big bolt on the lower control arm, and pops right out. this upper control arm, because I'm going to be replacing it with an aftermarket one. It is going to have actually a uniball with a big bolt that I can just undo, and it'll pop up in the future. If I need to take out this strut, it is quite easy accessed from here. I don't have to remove any of the other components here. It is a very quick, easy job on this truck. It is very easy to work on. Everything is accessible, and not much to it. So this is the control arm, the old one that I took out. This is going to be deleted. It is still okay. It doesn't have much miles on it. As I said, 5 years old, 20,000 kilometers. The ball joint still feels pretty stiff and tight. However, the only complaint about this, these trucks, this upper ball joint does give out fairly soon, especially when you're going with larger tires like I am. It's gonna put a lot more strain on the suspension driving down the road. And as I said before, these ball joints are just a press fit right into this steel control arm, so they do have a tendency of loosening up after a while. Either that or the ball joint wears out and you're going to have play. So in the end, I was going to replace these with either stock ones down the road, so why not upgrade everything right now? Everything is apart, and this is the time to do it. The rest of the hardware is pretty heavy duty and stout. These two are for the upper control arms, the bushings. This was for the lower assembly of the coilover. And this is the axle nut for the drive shaft I removed so I don't pull it out from the inner axle when I'm working with, and the rest is just straightforward. A couple of bolts and the whole thing pops right apart. Fairly easy to do with a couple of hand tools. Nothing special about it. I can show you the other side is exactly the same. No better, no worse. I'm going to be cleaning this up, giving it a nice paint job, and hopefully it will last years and years and years. As I said before, same as this side. The other side, brake pads, I'm going to be putting on a new set of brake pads. These rotors are still fairly nice, good enough. They will clean up nicely, and a new set of pads on it, and it will run for a couple of thousand kilometers, hopefully trouble-free. So thanks guys for watching. Thank you for staying tuned, and stay tuned for more future updates about this truck. Once again, I'm trying to do this all on my own. Kids are at home right now. They're homeschooling, so it is what it is. I have only so much time during the day, and especially now, I'm not sure you guys can see it, the camera picks it up, but it is getting cloudy and dark, and starting tonight and tomorrow it's going to be raining, so I'm going to hurry and get a nice good coat of paint on everything I can, as well as these coilovers. I'm just going to hang these up, and I'm going to give them a nice little refresh, and they're going to look like $1 million when I'm done with them. So thanks guys for watching, and see you next time on the Yotso Tech Tracks YouTube channel. Bye bye.